All right, Boom Creators, thank you for joining me. Today we are finishing up this rock carving that we started last time. We started it just by using photo transfer to get a picture onto a rock. So join me, because today we're going to carve. Okay, so they've got this all laid out here and I'm starting to carve it out on the rock. And I'm starting to test my tools, see what makes a line, see what makes a good line, and really starting to work into how can I get this carved out the right way. So I'm using this diamond covered wheel, which is working really great for these long, thin lines, and I'm really appreciating it. However, I do at some point want to trade out tools and see if something works better. Alright, so the diamond wheel definitely was working the best to carve nice deep lines, and that's what I ended up going back to after using a couple other things. There are a couple other tools like round bit that were better for the eye and better for certain areas like outlining it. I was able to get deeper with the diamond wheel than I was with the other tools. It's really skinny and it cuts really fast. It's really nice. So I've been using this tool long enough now that I've actually ground down the diamonds that are gone off the sides of the wheel. So it's just metal and it's not carving anymore, which is just fine because these are cheap and I can change it out for a new one. So I reached a point now where I'm done like carving out all the lines and I'm going to go ahead and get some more details. So I'm taking off that top layer that I put down earlier. Okay, now that I'm done with the carving and I've got the ink off the top of it, I'm realizing something rather upsetting. So what I realize is that I'm not carving deep enough. And I have a couple options here. All of the lines are there, but you can't really see them because they're just not deep enough. I went a little too low on their low relief carving. So I have a couple choices. One is I can sit here and carve for quite a bit longer and carve all of these lines deeper. Or two, I can fill all those holes with something that's going to make it darker and then bring the rest of the carving out. And we're going to try doing that. I happen to have a stick of charcoal right here, and what I'm doing is I'm getting it wet. I'm just kind of rubbing the charcoal in and getting it wet, and that should be able to fill the holes, and then I'll be able to wipe it off the top of the flat areas that haven't been carved. So what you'll see me doing is kind of rubbing it around here. I'm taking the charcoal and rubbing it in so it's actually, in the water, and then it's going to settle down to the bottom parts, and I'm slowly wiping off the lighter areas with my finger, and then we'll let this dry. So now that the rock's dried, and the charcoal is stuck to the rock, but it's very loosely stuck to the rock, what you're going to see me do is come in here with a heat gun just to dry it out fast because I'm super impatient, and a wet paper towel. And I'm just using the wet paper towel to wipe off little bits and pieces, little areas where I want the charcoal to be gone, and leaving it where I want it to stay. And this is helping me get away with the fact that I didn't carve it very deep.
I'll give you some long time. I need to go catch a high tide, 'cause I don't feel free, so I'm letting you know where I was.
All right, so there's the finished product. It was a lot of fun doing this. I'm going to talk about what went wrong and what went right. So the first thing I learned is if you're carving stone, don't be shy about it. We've got to start with big cuts. And I started looking at some other carving videos, and basically you want to get in there. You don't want to be shy. You want to start with nice deep cuts and get to where you want to be fast. Because if you goof around like I did, you're gonna end up carving on it forever. And that's why I ended up going with the charcoal fill to make the design actually show up. So part of the way through this process, I realized that it was kind of difficult to see the drawing, and I was cleaning it off with a rag, and it wasn't working super well. So what I did was I took a break and I spray painted the rock with a nice satin clear finish. And that should help me wipe off the dust without wiping off any of the rest of the drawing. It worked pretty well. I was pretty happy that I did it. There was a bit of residue from the spray paint that came off later, but overall it worked pretty well. I was able to wipe it off and didn't have to worry about wiping the ink off. So one of the other things I did was I finished this off with a can of spray paint just to protect the charcoal to make sure it doesn't go away. I think it's going to look great in a window or out in the garden or on the front porch or hiding under another rock somewhere. But it looks great and I had a lot of fun making it. So if I were going to give any advice to someone who's doing this for the first time like I just did, I would say go with something a little less detailed, have a little fun, dig a little deeper, don't be shy about it. Use your tools to go in and make some real impact into the piece. Could I have done better? The answer is not right now. Actually, when you're just starting at the beginning, you only have so much skill and so much ability. So that's why you can't fail, because art is about the creation. Art isn't about the final product. It's about the exploration along the way. If I keep going, I'm just going to be getting better and better. So you can't fail because you're always at the limits of your abilities. If you're pushing art, if you're pushing what you can do, if you're learning, that's the point of art. A lot of people judge art by the final product, and that's really only 1% of what art is. The rest of art is that seeking, that creation. If you look at any of the great artists, the people who produced a lot of art, these people weren't thinking about the art piece that they had just done, especially like when you take Picasso or Matisse or Michelangelo. They weren't thinking about the piece of art they just completed. They were thinking about the piece of art they're working on right now, and oftentimes the next piece of art that they would be creating in the future, because it was about the process. It was about the exploration. It was about moving forward. So you can't fail with art. None of these things are failures. They're all explorations. Even if you get a rock and you completely mess it up, you learn something from the experience, and that is one of the keys here. You cannot fail at art as long as you're trying, as long as you're making. So get out there, create, and go make some stuff. Send it to me. I'd love to see what you're doing. Until next time, thanks guys for joining me. Thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate you coming. Remember to like and subscribe and click that bell because you want to know what's happening next. We're going to be doing lots of fun stuff. Also, you can go to www.boomcreate.tv to get merch and help support this channel. Thanks for coming. Bye.